Laser sights are an essential firearms training tool, clearly correcting and improving the two most important shooting fundamentals, aiming and trigger control. Crimson Trace, making laser sights standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
Today on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, a positive development regarding gun shows at the Mar Fairgrounds in California after a ban was enacted this past January. Plus, a new antique firearms exhibit featuring guns from Columbus to Napoleon at the Houston Museum of Natural Science, and a new season of Guns and Gear. And as always, call us at 866-TALK-GUN with your comments, questions, and range reports. And now, here's Tom.
Greetings, fellow gun geeks. Tom Gresham here. We're going to be having some fun today. We're going to talk about, well, guns and ammo, and certainly we're talking politics because there's a lot of that going on. We're also going to talk about gun rights. We're going to talk about what's changing. A lot of things are going to be changing actually tomorrow as I speak to you today on the last day of June. A lot of things happening in California, in Washington State. A lot of new restrictions. A lot of things going on, but also we'll be looking for your comments, your range reports as well. We're going to have some news about gun museums. They are all over the place. In fact, next week I'll be actually doing a broadcast from the world-famous Cody Firearms Museum in Cody, Wyoming. We'll be joining them for the grand reopening of their incredible exhibit there. They've been tearing it up and shaking it up and putting in new exhibits. That's going to be fun. But this was the week of the debates. And yes, I know. A lot of people go, yeah, who cares? Why bother? I get that. I understand. I mean, after all, there's like 147 of them running for president on the Democratic side. Well, 21, 22, who knows? What was interesting, though, and what was telling, and there's a change out there, and I've been telling you about it for a while. And 12 or so years ago, the Democrats actually put out a paper for their candidates all over the country and said, do not talk about gun control. No matter what your position is, don't push gun control. It's a losing proposition for us. So, get elected and then do what you want to do, but do not talk about it out in the open. Fast forward 3 election cycles, and you have check this out now. Every single one of the Democratic candidates for president either calling for or offering no resistance to the idea of gun confiscation. Not licensing, not registration, not these other means that they have always said, well, that's just common sense gun control. No. We're talking about door to door. We're talking about men with guns coming to your door to take your guns away. Every single one is okay with confiscation of your guns. Now, they'll start with the guns they don't like. They'll start with the ugly guns. Because, of course, there's no functional difference between the ones they want to ban and the ones that they say, well, not yet, not now. They want the black rifles. They want the ones that look bad. Now, they've been out for 50 years. We're talking about AR-15s and other semi-automatic rifles, of course. The AR-15s have been out for 50 years, 50 years. Semi-autos have been popular, not just made, but popular for more than 100 years, a century. An old style. Why do they want to do that? Well, it's interesting. When you look at it, there's no logical reason, but there's certainly an emotional reason, because they look at that and all they see in their minds is war, is military, because that's their frame of reference. That's all they know. You also have to start with the understanding that they don't think that there's actually any, let me repeat that, there's not any legitimate reason to own a firearm. Maybe the police should have them. They're not sure about that yet. But you and me, forget it. So if you start off with the assumption that there's no real legitimate reason, they'll often say there's no need. I always love that. Need. Of course, there's no Bill of Needs. It's the Bill of Rights. You don't have a need for a gun. Well, what they're saying is that they don't feel a need, so therefore you shouldn't, because, of course, they're at least as good as you and probably quite superior to you. And if they don't need a gun, you don't need a gun. And ultimately, it makes them feel better, which is really what it's all about. And we're going to talk a little bit later about feel and logic and how that all works, and different types of people and how they process information, because I think that's going to be instructive. So you have this entire line of Democratic candidates calling for gun confiscation. Now, I don't know about you, but even if you look, yeah, a lot of us are gung-ho, Second Amendment activist, absolutist, if you will. But there are a lot of folks who are, yeah, I own a gun, but I don't really care about the AR-15s. I don't really care about that style of rifle. I get it. There are some people who don't care. But I really don't think there are very many gun owners who say, yeah, I'm good with confiscation of guns, any guns. Because, of course, we know, we all understand, the good guys don't turn them in. The bad guys don't turn them in. Only the good guys turn them in, right? And in this case, even the good guys aren't going to turn them in. In New York, they did this, and they had the non-compliance rate was probably in the 80% of people who just said, no, not registering them, not going to do it. And I think we're at that point. So if the bad guys we know are not going to turn in their guns, and the good guys are probably, most of them are not going to turn in their guns, what are we doing here? Well, it's food for thought. And I would ask you, what are we doing here? What do you think is going on? And are you seeing, in the people you talk to, any kind of a change in their viewpoint toward gun control, gun confiscation, and those who call for it? I really don't care who you are, where you fall on the political spectrum. Are you okay with an order to confiscate guns from people? They may call it a buyback, but here's the deal. If it's mandatory, it's not a buyback, it's a confiscation. So are you okay with a confiscation which must be accompanied by, 1, registration, and 2, door-to-door searches by people with guns coming to your door? I just would wonder, I don't care where you are on the spectrum. You could be left, right, center. But are you really okay with the idea of confiscating commonly owned products that, oh yes, should we even have to mention it again? More people are murdered in the U.S. with fists and feet than they are with rifles, much less semi-automatic rifles. 866-TALK-GUN is a magic number here, or you can call me at Tom Talk Gun. I'm Tom Gresham. We'll be right back with more Gun Talk.
Designed to be the ultimate choice in concealed carry pistols, Kimber's striker-fired Evo SP features an innovative grip system that eliminates hardware on the grip surface, a magazine release for right or left-handed shooters, all-metal construction for reduced muzzle rise, and ledged night sights for single-hand manipulations. Kimber's Evo SP is the ideal choice for shooters that demand a feature-packed, compact-sized striker-fired firearm. Find your Kimber at www.kimberamerica.com.
Since 1902, Norma has built a reputation for its dedication to quality, precision, and reliability. Norma now offers a line of personal defense handgun ammunition. The monolithic hollow point 9mm is designed for the ultimate in performance across all sizes and barrel lengths. This bullet delivers unprecedented expansion and quick energy transfer for great stopping power. Norma offers proven ammunition for hunting, competition, self-defense, and more. Find yours at norma-ammunition.com.
Since 1937, Ducks Unlimited has led the charge on wetlands and waterfowl conservation. Wetlands reduce the effects of flooding and recharge our drinking water, but perhaps most importantly, they allow us to experience what makes the outdoors so great. Band together to rescue our wetlands.
You got your carry permit, and that's good. But you know you could use more training. Get the DVDs, which have what you need. Springfield Armory presents Concealed Carry 1 and Concealed Carry 2 with Bata Group. Learn specific concealed carry skills from Top Gun fighting trainers. Get trained. Be prepared. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
Hey, a few things I want to alert you to. We're putting out a lot of information, a lot of interesting behind-the-scenes pictures and such on the Gun Talk Instagram feed. So if you want to find out what's going on behind the scenes, check that out. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, where I'm at Gun Talk. Check out the Gun Talk Facebook page. Go to guntalk.com or shopguntalk.com. You can take a look at all of our DVDs. By the way, if you're a concealed carry person, yeah, you got your concealed carry license and you took the class, maybe. In a lot of states, you don't even have to do that. I'm going to offer this. I'm not trying to be mean, okay? Not trying to be ugly about it, but there's an awful lot that you don't know. If you haven't been to real gun school, gunfighting school, there's a lot you don't know. And the problem is you don't even know that there are areas. You don't even know what the areas are where you don't know. We have DVDs for that. They'll help you out. It's Concealed Carry 1 and 2. And, you know, there's kind of a secret one we have that a lot of people don't know about that's very cool. It's Fighting with the 1911. It's really about gun fighting and how to use your gun, whether or not you use a 1911 or not. But check it out, shopguntalk.com. Oh, yeah, we do our giveaways here. Last month, we had the Springfield Armory St. Victor giveaway, and the winner is Vincent D. in Arizona. Vincent, you'll be getting an email about that shortly. Let's go to line 5. Al's with us out of Spokane, Washington. Hello, Al, you're on Gun Talk.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to know what happened to the bill that passed the House last fall that let you carry the concealed carry from one state to another.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had an election last year, didn't we?
Yeah.
We lost.
Yeah, but
nothing's going through the House now. Nothing's going to go through the Senate. Now, of course, I hasten to add, the Republicans could have passed that when they had the House, the Senate, and the White House, and they didn't because they're worthless. They're only slightly less worthless than the Democrats. But, yeah, they had the opportunity to pass national reciprocity, and they didn't. They couldn't. They wouldn't. They're cowards. But, you know, it's one of those deals that people keep saying, well, why do you support X? Because they don't do everything we want. Yeah, you know what? Perfect is not an option. But in this case, you can forget national reciprocity. It's not going to happen. There's no chance in the world. You have a better chance of being hit by a meteor in the next 3 seconds than you do of getting this thing passed. It's just not going to happen.
Okay.
All right. I appreciate it. You know, it's just where we are. We didn't get it done when we had the opportunity, when we had at least the possibility. And then we lost huge in the last election, lost the House. If we lose the Senate, it's going to be pretty horrible for gun rights. If we lose the White House, it's going to be unfathomable because now, of course, the Democratic candidates are all out in the open calling for confiscation of your guns. They're going to call it a buyback. Of course, I pointed out, you can't buy back that which you've never had in the first place. And a buyback is a voluntary program where you can opt to sell your product, your thing you own, your property, if you want to. when they say you must do this or you will go to federal prison, I'm sorry, that's not voluntary. That's like calling paying taxes voluntary. Yeah, if you don't, we will send men with guns and we will take you away. That's what every single one of the candidates for president on the Democratic Party are calling for. Men with guns who will come and take you away and take you to prison if you don't turn in your legally owned, legally purchased gun that you've never misused. Wow. It's very interesting to see what has happened here. Line 2, James is with us out of Palestine, Texas. Hello, James.
Hello, Tom. Earlier this year, there was a BATF employee, Christopher Yates, who was, instead of destroying confiscated firearms, ammunition, and gun parts, was selling them to criminals. I've heard that happen with a number of police departments over the years, like New York City, Chicago, Washington, D.C., New Jersey. Do those people realize that, a lot of firearms that get confiscated by the police and supposedly destroyed have this strange tendency to end up in other people's gun collections or in some cases sold to criminals?
When you say do those people, are you talking about the Democrats who are calling for confiscation? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, those people.
Okay. This is going to be really simple and yet at the same time hard to understand. They don't care.
Yes, I sort of figured that out.
Yeah, this has, let me get this straight. It has nothing to do with crime. It has nothing to do with stopping shootings. It has nothing to do with mass shootings or school shootings or any other kind of shootings. It has everything to do with control. It has everything to do with, we want to take all your guns, but we know we can't do it all at once. So we will get the ugly ones first. We will have this orchestrated, multi-year, multi-decade campaign to demonize semi-automatic rifles in the minds of Americans. We will bring in CNN and CBS and all the rest of the media, and they will parrot all of this nonsense to the point where in the lexicon of Americans now, they actually think there is such a thing as an assault weapon. There isn't, but they think there is. And they think they know what it is. They think it's full automatic machine gun because that's what they've been told. And they think no one needs a military style weapon. And so through all of that, and I appreciate your call, James, but through all of that, what we're looking at is an orchestrated, well planned out, and now, for the first time ever in the last 5 years, extremely well financed through the Bloomberg billions program of convincing people these are bad guns and they must go away. The idea being, if you can establish, now bear with me everybody, okay, because this is really what it amounts to. If you can establish, and we on our side have to be very careful to never buy into this, if you can establish in the minds of people that there are bad guns and good guns, and you can be moderate, you can be reasonable if you're against the bad guns, but you're okay with the good guns, then they have scored huge points and made great strides because, and this is the important part, this is the critical element of all of it, the number and the type of guns that fall into the bad gun category can be expanded infinitely until they all become bad guns. When you've been around this as long as I have, you've seen them try to categorize a lot of different guns as bad guns. If you're old enough, you remember when they talked about Saturday night specials. Well, what were those? Supposedly small, supposedly cheap, supposedly easily concealable handguns that there's no need for unless you're a bad guy. Well, except unless you're a person who wants to protect yourself, if you're a woman that wants a .38 special to protect herself. But the whole idea was to have a buzzword. And I'm talking 50 years ago. Saturday night specials. And then we got junk guns because they were too cheap. I don't know what the correct price is for a gun, but junk guns, they were too cheap. We've got to ban junk guns. We're going to ban the Saturday night specials because they're too small. And we're going to ban the junk guns because they're too cheap. Oh, yes. And then we have the 50 calibers because we have to ban those because they're too big. So if some guns are too small, and some guns are too cheap, and some guns are too big, and how small should the too small be? Well, in the bills that were passed, never got passed into law, but were offered, the 45 caliber single action Colt revolver at $1,500 was called a Saturday night special. No, you can go look it up. That's true. You can take my word for it, but it is true. And if a gun can be too cheap at $100, then next year they can say, well, $200 is too cheap, and then $300 is too cheap, and then $700 is too cheap. And if a gun is too big, 50 caliber, then, oh my gosh, we just found out that the .338 Lapua can shoot just as far. Whoop, 300 Magnums shoot way out there, much farther than anybody should ever be able to shoot. Oh, and you know what actually makes them so dangerous is they have scopes on them. Snipers use scopes. So now these are sniper rifles. The point being, you can label anything, and they're really good at labeling things. So if any of us, buys into the concept of so-called assault weapons or military-style weapons, or there are good guns or bad guns, we give them the shovel with which they can bury us. Woe be unto us and shame on us, and we deserve everything we get if we buy into that. There is, to put a fine point on it, no such thing as good guns and bad guns. Now, there may be something that we say, well, we don't like the way that shoots. That's a different matter altogether. We make it more accurate. But as far as being bad guns that should be banned or confiscated or regulated, no. There's no such thing. And that is actually the crux. That is the cornerstone of their plan. Is if they can get the public to buy into that, and they're getting pretty good at it, then they can come back and expand the bad gun category to include as many as they want. And you know how many they want? Absolutely every single one. Hey, we've got some good news coming up on the gun rights front. We'll tell you when we come back.
Good morning, Mr. Gresham. Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to host a radio show that will bring truth and common sense to the discussion of firearms rights in this country. Good luck, Tom, to you and your Tom Gresham's Gun Talk team.
You know, the fight for the Second Amendment, the fight for gun rights, happens on a lot of different levels and in a lot of different venues. Obviously, it happens in state legislatures. It happens in city council meetings. It happens in the U.S. Congress. It happens on the legislative front, but increasingly it is happening on the litigation front. And I think it's becoming more and more important. I think it's going to become even more important because I frankly think we're going to be losing in legislatures and possibly in Congress, depending on what happens in our next national election. We're being outspent for the first time ever. We have the NRA, which is imploding and cratering, and it's basically neutered itself and will become a non-factor in the next election, assuming it's even around. And so fighting in the courts is becoming more and more important. And frankly, if we can get some things staked out there, maybe it provides some insulation from the political actions of those who would take away your gun rights. One of the people who's on the front lines in that litigation fight joins us right now. Don Kilmer is an attorney out of California with some good news for us. Welcome, Don.
Hi, Tom. How are you doing today? Thanks for having me on. I
am good. So we have some good news coming out of California, right?
Yes, we do. Every now and then we manage to strike a blow for liberty and the Constitution. At Del Mar Fairgrounds, which is administered by the 22nd Agricultural District, which is a board of directors appointed by the governor of the state of California, Gavin Newsom, decided that they didn't want gun people and gun shows and gun nuts stinking up their fairgrounds, so they decided they were going to ban us. The first step. So
this is the Crossroads of the West. Yeah, the Crossroads of the West gun show, which their gun shows have like 500,000 people come to them each year. So what was the basis? What did they say how did they say they were going to do this and just say, well, we just don't want your kind here anymore?
Yeah, their first gambit, or their opening play, was to impose a moratorium while they study the issue to see what safety problems there are with gun shows. Of course, there aren't any, because the gun shows have been taking place for 30, sometimes in some venues, sometimes as long as 40 or 50 years without incident. And of course, these particular fairgrounds are in California, a state notorious for heavily regulating the gun industry. In fact, there's an entire section of the California Penal Code that regulates gun shows, what can and cannot be done at gun shows. And of course, we have our infamous 10-day waiting period here, so you can't even walk into a gun show, buy a gun, and walk out with a gun in California.
Okay, so they have a 30-year track record of safety, but now they're going to, quote unquote, study it, which is a way of saying we're going to not allow it to continue indefinitely while we just kind of twiddle our thumbs.
Well, they're not only going to twiddle their thumbs; they're going to I suspect that the strategy here, of course, I'm not privy to their playbook, is that if they can deplatform us and deprive us, the gun industry of revenue and places to meet, that will just simply dwindle on the vine. Of course, even in a state as anti-gun as California, the legislature is. California itself is not an anti-gun state. Gun sales in California sometimes match the reported gun sales in the state of Texas. So there's still a lot of people here in the state who like to exercise their rights, go hunting and fishing and shooting.
All right. So how did you challenge this in court?
Well, the underlying theory, there were two. The underlying theory is that it violates freedom of assembly and freedom of association, because the fairgrounds hold themselves out as a public square that is open to all who engage in lawful commerce. You'd have to reserve dates ahead of time and what have you. And what the moratorium was designed to do was to not allow us to even reserve dates. Crossroads of the West normally held about 5 shows a year at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. And so we were frozen out for most of 2019. The judge in our case, read the pleadings and read the motions. The government sought to dismiss the case, and we kind of came back over the top and said, not only should you not dismiss the case, Your Honor, you should simply grant summary judgment for us on the grounds that this violates the Constitution, and there doesn't even need to be a trial on this.
Well, I also note that you didn't challenge this on Second Amendment grounds. This is actually a First Amendment case, isn't it?
Yes, it is a First Amendment case, and the other theory under which we're proceeding is equal protection. The idea that they're allowing other products and services to be sold at the fairgrounds that also have a track record of being dangerous if mishandled, and yet they're not doing anything about it. For example, there are home shows at the fairgrounds, and hot tubs and pools and spas are sold all the time. Well, let's start counting up the number of children drowned in pools. There are health shows where vitamins and supplements are sold. Let's start counting up the number of children who are poisoned by vitamin A poisoning every year. And we, so these, what are called in the law, what we call secondary effects, something that is attenuated and much farther down the stream of commerce, these harms, the government can't make its case that guns are more dangerous than, based on secondary effects, based on negligent use or negligent storage, than in some of these other household products that are sold. And in fact, the banning of the gun shows is counterproductive to gun safety, because one of the things that happens at gun shows, as you well know, is hunter safety courses, handgun safety demonstrations, the sale of gun safes and safe storage devices, as well as advocacy for the Second Amendment.
Hey, Don, I'm going to do this. I want to take a quick break here because I want you to come back and tell us about the smackdown that the judge delivered, but also I want to talk about the future of litigation in gun cases, because I think it really is where we're going. It's going to become even more important. We're talking with Don Kilmer about the Del Mar Fairgrounds Crossroads of the West gun show. They were frozen out, but a judge just sent a really strong message. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Whether you carry it on your hip or in your hands, when it's from Springfield Armory, your gun is a part of the legendary line, the great 1911 pistols, the innovative XD, XDM, and XDS pistols for competition and defense, the new 911 carry pistol, guns you can count on. Shooters everywhere rave about the Saint pistols and rifles, and of course, the mighty M1A battle rifle. Check out the latest at springfield-armory.com.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
Tired of searching the web for the best deals on guns, ammunition, and gear? Download the free Gun Dealio app today for deals and discounts right at your fingertips. Handguns, rifles, shotguns, ammo, optics, lasers, gun safes, targets, gun cleaners, grips, slings, and much, much more. Save money on products you want from the companies you love. New deals, discounts, and rebates added daily. Gun Dealio, available for free in the App Store and Google Play.
When someone leaves you their gun collection, you may want a few, but what do you do with the rest? How do you sell them? Who do you call? Well, I call Johnny Dury at Dury's Guns. Whether you're selling one gun or 500, they'll tell you what it's worth and write you a check. Simple, quick, easy, fair. I trust Dury's Guns. Give them a call. Dury'sGuns.com. We're talking with Don Kilmer, attorney out of California, gun rights attorney, one of the, frankly, I just think one of the smart guys out there. And Don, you're a serious Second Amendment guy, and I always love a chance to talk with you. But I'm always find it interesting when sometimes the way to attack what is really a fight on the Second Amendment grounds is to use other ways to get there, like, in this case, going First Amendment to push back. So anyway, what happened with this case with Crossroads of the West Gun Show?
Yeah, real quick though, I did want to make certain I'm not doing this case on my own. I'm representing Second Amendment Foundation in this matter, and I teamed up with Chuck Michelle's office out of Southern California, who's representing California Rifle and Pistol Association and also the promoter in that case. So this is a joint effort, and everybody has pulled together to deal with this deplatforming or harm to commerce, gun commerce. But the theory of the First Amendment is that the government has been trying, or the certain legislatures or legislators have been trying to deplatform gun people for years now, going on 20, 25 years. I kind of made my bones in the Second Amendment work by challenging these gun show bans up here in Santa Clara County and in Alameda County. And so, when the founders wrote the Constitution, they did specify certain rights that weren't to be touched, like the First Amendment, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom of the press, freedom to speak. Then you move on down the line through amendments, 1 through 10 to give us our Bill of Rights. Of course, Amendment 9 tells us that there may be other rights that we don't mention that are also protected. But the point is this, is that the founders saw liberty as a holistic concept. Okay, they did point out or make specific some rights to be protected because those are the ones they were most familiar with when they formed this country, with King George's orders to not allow the colonists to congregate in the town square, the attempt to confiscate weapons that led to the battle at Lexington and Concord. So these are all holistic rights, and they do tend to support and provide lateral support for each other. And so we're using the First Amendment to protect the Second here.
Okay. So what did the judge do with this case?
Well, she took a look at the case. The procedural history is as follows. We filed the complaint in January. The government filed a a notice of motion that they were going to ask to have the case dismissed because this is one of those move along. There's nobody's rights being violated here. We're just not allowing guns on fairgrounds. Well, we came back with normally you just oppose the motion to dismiss and you say no, we stated a cause of action under the Constitution and you should allow the suit to go forward. Well, we got together, put our heads together, and says, let's go over the top on this. Let's not only oppose the motion to dismiss, let's go ahead and file a motion for summary judgment and tell the judge there are no disputed facts in this case. We don't need a trial. You just need to go ahead and render judgment for the plaintiffs on this First Amendment claim. Impose a moratorium on the moratorium. Okay, let us have our gun shows, and then we can go ahead and conduct discovery on how much money my clients lost while they didn't get to have 3 or 4 gun shows in 2019. The government came back and said, oh, well, we have to conduct discovery and there's all kinds of things we have to do and the case is not ready to be tried yet. The judge issued an order saying, I'm kind of skeptical. You need to file supplemental briefs on why you think you need more evidence. I don't see this as all that factually controversial. And I think that put the government on notice that they were dealing with a judge who took the First Amendment seriously. Well, then at the hearing, she really let the government have it. She just basically said, look, gun shows have been taking place for 30 years. If anybody has evidence of unsafe conditions or unlawful activity, it would be you. Why didn't you bring it to court and show it to me? So she basically turned to us and said, and gave us the relief we wanted. She granted a preliminary injunction, told the 22nd Agricultural District that they must take reservation dates from us as soon as at the first available date to have a gun show. Then she turned to the government and said, I'm going to give you 60 days to conduct discovery. And we just received yesterday or the day before a list of things that the government thinks they want from us to prove their case. And we're going to be sending out our list of things we want from them to prove our case. Okay. But there'll be another hearing to take the preliminary injunction to a permanent injunction in September. So we're moving this case really, really quick.
Well, this was a big win, though, was it not? I mean, it sure feels like a big win.
The reason it feels like a big win for the thinkers out there, we didn't get concealed carry and we didn't get, assault weapons declared legal in California. But if the anti-gunners throughout the country, in California, Hawaii, New Jersey, and the usual list of horribles, if they're able to stop Second Amendment people from meeting and congregating and sharing stories and trading and buying their firearms and ammunition and beef jerky and silver coins, silver and gold coins and whatever else goes on at gun shows, well, then they will have deprived us of a forum for congregating and advancing our rights. That's why this is an important win.
Yeah, exactly. Basically what happens, and you touched on it, is what they essentially want is for us to die on the vine, to shrivel and go away because we can't meet, we can't communicate. And the logical extension of their efforts is, then you shouldn't be able to advertise anything that's that dangerous, so the advertisement goes away. And then you have what's going on currently right now with Facebook and Google, where they just basically shut you down and you can't exist online. You can't run ads there. This will continue. Don, I'm going to have to scoot here. I just want to thank you for what you're doing and, boy, encourage you to keep doing it. You're just doing super work.
I appreciate that. And, again, it's a team effort. There's a lot of lawyers on my team on this, and they deserve kudos as well.
Very good. Don Kilmer, thank you so much. We will check back with you as we get more progress on this, all right?
Thanks for having me on, Tom.
Sounds good. Yeah, if they make you go away, if they make you invisible, it's easy for people to think you're inconsequential. When you're inconsequential, people will do things to you. It's making you the other. It's making you the lesser. And that's all part of the program. And so when Facebook says, no, gun stores can't advertise there, you kind of become invisible. It's part of the deal. 866-TALK-GUN. What do you think of this? Be right back. Hey, here's one that just popped up. A new pistol. Well, not really a new pistol, kind of a new version of a new pistol. I see that Lipsy's, the distributor down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, major firearms distributor, they're working with Larry Vickers, who, of course, is a very well-known combat veteran and does some really cool guns. And they came out with a Glock 43, very popular carry pistol. And let's see, we have the compact black, easy for me to say, black Glock 43. What they've done is it includes the Vickers Tango Down parts kit. That includes custom enhanced slide lock, enhanced magazine release, and Vickers +2 magazine extension. Now, they also added Wilson Combat rear sight and Ameriglow Pro Glow tritium front sight. So that's pretty sweet. Oh, yeah. And for the first time ever, this G43, Glock 43, has the Vickers Tactical Edition. It has front cocking serrations. Really interesting. So I know that the 43 is very popular, and now they've basically upgraded it with some of the stuff they're doing with Larry Vickers. You could probably, I haven't looked, but I'm sure it is on the Lipsy's website, Lipsy's Distributors. Neat stuff. Let's see here. Line 3, Luke's with us out of New York State. Hello, Luke, you're on Gun Talk.
Hi, I'm at the New York State High School Clay Target League Championship today. I'm a coach for one of the teams here, and the league has about 1,700 students in it from 12 to 18, and there's about 950 of them here today. Okay, so you got 950 kids in a mass shooting in New York State. That's right, all shooting trap.
All shooting trap, and nobody's getting hurt.
It just goes to show that not everybody from New York hates America. Just our politicians.
Heck no, and there are a lot of shooters there. So here's the question. I take it you're probably getting massive media coverage for this event.
You are the media coverage.
I'm the only one. Oh, my gosh. So what are the ages of these shooters?
12 to 18. And they are doing a great job.
I know you've run into it. You're a coach. You've run into adults who say, really? You have 12-year-olds with guns? And you go, well, yeah, and they're responsible and they're safe. I don't know about you, but it's been my experience that youngsters who shoot competitively tend to be disciplined and responsible and well-behaved. And I have to think it's because we're giving them responsibility and we're trusting them.
That's right. That's right. And it gives them something to focus on, too. And they're outside. And you know what the one thing is that they're not doing?
What's that?
Looking at their smartphone.
Oh. Now, that's not to say they're not taking pictures and sending them of what they're doing, but they are shooting, they're talking to each other, they're outside, and they're concentrating, because shooting is a mental game. All things being equal, the people who can concentrate the best generally are the better shooters.
That's exactly right. And it's a great opportunity for them to meet kids from across the state. It's not like another sport where you're just in a region. These are kids from Long Island to Buffalo. So
that is terrific. Luke, thank you so much for doing that. That's a wonderful thing you're doing. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate everything that you're doing.
All right. Listen, you take care, and a big attaboy and attagirl to all those shooters. 950 high school and junior high shooters, mass shooting in New York State. Having a good time, being good kids, being responsible. I got to tell you, they're the ones that I would be looking for. If I was hiring somebody, you said, oh, yeah, I was on a trap team. Oh, yeah, you're moving right up to the top of the list. Not because you're a shooter, but because I know what that means. You're disciplined, you're focused, and you're serious about stuff. Oh, yeah, you can be trusted as well. Hey, looking for some place to go on your summer vacation? How about a place that has guns?